Built in 1756 to solidify relations between the British and Cherokee during the French and Indian War, Fort Loudoun was one of the earliest English fortifications on what was then the western frontier.
The primary focus behind the construction of Fort Loudoun was the fact that the Cherokees, they'd been asking for it for a number of years. When their men were off fighting against the French along with the English, they wanted a defensive position here where their women and children and elderly could go for protection if the French came into the area while they were away. That was the primary reason for the fort.
Relations between the Cherokee and English remained warm for 3.5 years, until a cultural misunderstanding resulted in the British execution of 29 Cherokee leaders. This led to all-out war between the British and Cherokee and a 9-month siege of Fort Loudoun.
In the beginning, there was probably a lot of initial shooting at the fort to force people into it. We know that several people who came and went, tried to escape the fort, were captured out in the cornfields. They just didn't let anything come or go, and they starved them out. The one thing they had going for them is there was a well inside the fort, so the reason they lasted as long as they truly did is because they had a good water source.
With their food gone, the British were forced to surrender. The day after being allowed to leave Fort Loudoun, the Cherokee attacked and killed 25 soldiers. The survivors were taken hostage and later released or ransomed back to their families. The original fort was burned to the ground shortly after the surrender. Reconstructed during the 1930s, Fort Loudoun was made a National Historic Site in 1965.